You're kidding.
Do I look like I'm kidding?
A little. I'm not.
I'm not.
Hello and welcome to Disney's epic adventure, A Wrinkle in Time, brought to you by a female lead and the Sunday Times Style, and directed by the incredible Ava DuVernay. Now, A Wrinkle in Time is an epic adventure. Hoop it up! A Wrinkle in Time is an epic adventure through one girl's transformative journey with the help of 3 guides. Tonight is a very, very special night. So to get things started, please welcome to the stage the Sunday Times parenting columnist and the editor-in-chief of Style, Lorraine Candy.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for coming, everyone. I'm very lucky to be joined by an amazing panel tonight. It's a real privilege, actually. So I'm going to bring them all on now. Edwina Dunn from the female lead. Ava DuVernay, director. Mindy Kaling, who's one of the misses. Reese Witherspoon. Oprah Winfrey. And Storm Reid. Okay, well, welcome to our debate, The Power to Empower. We are live streaming on the Sunday Times Style website and also on the Female Lead website, Facebook, all the way through this evening. And if you're following it on social media, the hashtag is Wrinkle in Time, not A Wrinkle in Time. So, thank you very much for coming. It's amazing to have this panel, and it's also amazing to have this audience. We have a really distinguished audience. Teenage activists, groundbreaking teachers, scientists, tech industry gurus, award-winning journalists and authors, and a Nobel Peace Prize winner. So, for the past year, the Sunday Times has been working with the female lead and Edwina Dunn on the importance of empowering women of tomorrow, mentoring our female leaders of tomorrow. And we've been focusing on the STEM industry in particular, because these facts are quite shocking about the STEM industry in the UK. Only 1 girl in 31 takes maths and physics at A-level here, and only 25% of the STEM graduates are female. And this means our daughters are not qualified for the jobs of tomorrow, which we don't think is fair. So strong role models are absolutely vital in this area. So never has a film like Wrinkle in Time been needed more, and you'll understand why that works when you see this amazing film. So I'm going to start the debate by asking a question of the panel about leadership. When Ava was casting for this film, she said she wasn't looking for actors, she was looking for leaders, which brings me nearly to Edwina, who set up the female lead. Do you want to tell us quickly a bit about the female lead and why it's so important, and what makes a leader, a female leader?
Well, I think the answer to what makes a female leader is there isn't one formula. In fact, we showcased in the book that you should have on your chairs, this is an extract, 60 different wonderful, amazing stories of very, very different female leaders. And I'm absolutely delighted that Ava DuVernay was one of the women that we showcased and has brought to life this incredible story of how she became film director. We want to take these stories and bring them into schools, and we have lots of you here tonight who are already living and breathing the female lead in our schools.
You're giving 18,000 of these books, aren't you, to schools across the US and UK? It's
we are. So 18,000 are being gifted. You can all nominate schools if you go online, and so you can give someone the gift of amazing role models, and we know it works. We know it inspires young girls to aim a bit higher, and these fabulous women here tonight are really amplifying this, and I'm so very grateful for the chance that you bring us.
And Oprah, on the subject of female leadership, one of the things that I hear a lot when I talk in schools is girls that are not that confident. They always think, I won't be a female leader, it's just not part of me. I think through all of your work, you've always talked about being true to yourself. How would you find that, if you're a young girl today, that leadership part of you?
One of the reasons I love this film so much is that
when we filmed, Storm was 13 years old. Now she's 14 years old. And that was really one of the most tumultuous, difficult, really terrible times in my life when I was trying to figure out who I was and I was going through a lot of trauma. But what I now know for sure is that what Mrs. Witch says to Storm in the very beginning of the film, which you're about to see, is all, so pay attention. When she says to her, you have to find the right frequency and have faith in who you are. Just take that in for a second. Find the right frequency means that you carry your own frequency and vibration when you come to the planet that is yours and yours alone. It belongs to you. And you only get in trouble when you're trying to be in someone else's frequency and somebody else's energy. So the power of this movie that initially looks like we're trying to teach her how to test her is about really how do you discover the best of yourself. Find the right frequency and have faith in who you are. There's a frequency that is yours and yours alone. And when you allow yourself to live in the stream of your frequency, not somebody else's, not worried about what other people's frequencies are doing, you then come to the planet and live the exalted life that you were meant to live. That's designed specifically for you. So that's what I would say to anybody who's, and I wish I could have heard it. Yeah. I wish I could have heard it. I wish I could have heard it when I was her age.
Thank you. And Ava, one of the things you also talked about, and I think this has been mentioned in interviews before, is that this would be a Wizard of Oz for the future. This is the film that many, many young people will refer back to and look at how it's changed their life. Is that what you meant to do with the film?
Well, hi, everyone. I'm so happy to see you all here. It's a good-looking crowd. A good-looking crowd. We asked Disney, can you make sure they're a good-looking crowd? And good-looking is not just the exterior, it's the interior. It's the light that shines from you, and that's what this film is about. And that's what we really wanted to say in the film. We wanted to give a slice of sweetness. There's a lot going on in the world, a lot of turmoil, a lot of darkness and division. But we want to tell kids, and this film was designed for real kids and kids at heart, that they can be a light. And so that's what we all have tried to do. I think that's why I was so attracted to each of these women as artists to be a part of the movie, because in their own lives they are dynamic, fully powered humans who are emitting light wherever they go. And so, and then we found the great Storm Reed, and it completed the picture. And so this film is a love letter from all of us to young people. It's something that we really want to be in the world right now, and we hope people enjoy it.
Thank you. And one of the things that I'm encountering, it's a new buzzword around young women and pupils at school, is the word resilience, how to raise a resilient girl. I've been asked about it about 5 times now. So it struck me this film is about it, but it's also, I'm going to talk to you, Reese, actually, because you have a teenage daughter. I've got my 2 teenage daughters here as well this evening. How do we raise resilient girls? Or how do we raise resilient children? Because you've been doing such amazing work with Time's Up, which has been very personal to you, and you actually, that movement has been extraordinary because of the swift way you ignited that, but you've had to be very resilient around that.
Yeah. Well, thanks. Hi, y'all. Hi. Yeah, I think this movie really, first I read it when I was 11 years old, and it really stuck in my heart because it was this epic adventure, but it had a little girl at the center of it. And I never read anything like that before. And I read every book in the series. I thought it was so magical. And also, it's not just externally what this little girl, Meg Murray, is fighting internally. She's fighting self-doubt and insecurity, and has to not only travel through the universe to save her father, but she has to save herself. And every woman I know has had to save herself. There's nobody coming riding in on a white horse, despite all the other Disney movies. No one's going to save you. And that's a big piece that I talked to my daughter about. And talk about resilience. You got to be tough to be a woman in this world. These women wake up every single day, work hard, bring home money, take care of their kids, and they don't get a lot of thanks. And but I think this film is a beautiful message about, like Ava said, we are bombarded with negativity every day, and every day.
And other
all of
role
us.
models that are not brilliant.
No, I mean, and it's overwhelming. But if you can find a little bit of hope and a little bit of happiness, and whatever it is inside of you that wakes you up in the morning, makes you smile, makes you dance, makes you love your friends, that's the stuff you got to go for. So that's what this movie's about, and I think moms are going to love to take their kids, and I think everybody's going to sort of alight to that idea that we all have a light inside of us, and you just have to let it shine.
And Storm Reed, you are 14. You are you are most of the screen time in this film. It is extraordinary, and you've obviously grown up acting. How do you find that inner resilience? As a teenage girl today?
Yes. Hi, everybody. How do I find my inner resilience? First of all, I think resilience is being strong and not physically strong, but mentally and emotionally strong. And I feel like it's about having faith and persevering. And stuff is not going to go right in our lives. Stuff doesn't go right now as teenagers. We're just trying to figure out what we're trying to do, grow up, get through school, a whole bunch of stuff, do chores. But
are they making you do chores? Steph?
Yes, of course. Yes, ma'am.
Where are my daughters? She's doing chores.
No, but I think it's just like, just being strong and finding the light from within yourself and just being okay with yourself to be strong and be strong for others. Because as women, we have to, or being a young woman, you have to be strong for others, and you have to be able to take a lot of pressure when you necessarily don't want that pressure. And I feel like it's living by faith, not sight. And sometimes things are not going right, and it doesn't look like things are going to go right. But as long as you have faith, then you'll be able to push through and be resilient.
And are these are women have been role models, I'm gathering, for you?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Miss Ava, Miss Oprah, Miss Reese, and Miss Mindy are so amazing. And to be able to not only, as an actress, be able to share a screen with these three women is so incredible. But to be able to just learn from each and every one of them and have them in my corner to pour into me, and just be able to have them as like friends and aunties is amazing.
Yeah. We're all a bit jealous. Thank you. Mindy, so when I was reading or doing the research on you, so you write, you're a comedian, you're an actress, you're a writer, you're a producer, you're an author, you write plays. You do so much. So that's an awful lot, and you've just had a baby, so that's a lot to take on. How do you find what gets you going in the morning? What makes you strong and resilient?
What makes me strong and resilient? Well, I just can't get over how, Storm Reed, if I can just say this. First of all, she calls me Miss Mindy, which when she first did it took my breath away because she's so well raised. Her mother, Robin, is here, and we've spent this entire time with her. And she is, as a new mother, I always look to the two of them and Reese as just, I do so many things, but the one thing that my own mother passed away, so I'm just looking to other people to see how do they raise daughters that I really like. And I look at Storm and your daughter Ava, and they're such great young women. And it's like just through osmosis, I'm just hoping that I can steal whatever it is that they're doing to make these young, poised, beautiful, and very polite young women. So I think that's great. That didn't answer your question. What was the question? It was that.
Where's your inner strength? How do you get that resilience when you do so many different things?
I don't know about my inner strength. Every day I look up and I feel, as many women out here feel, like we take on a lot. When you're an ambitious woman, which is not something that's necessarily cultivated by society, you try to do all these things, and I even this morning you think like my daughter's back in New York, and my inner strength comes from one was the example that people like my mother left for me. She passed away 5 years ago, but she burned so brightly. So I think about her, and then honestly, the gift of having worked with these women and seeing what they do. These are definitions of multi-hyphenates. They're doing what I'm doing, and they just have the resolve. I think Oprah gets a lot through her faith. And so do you, actually. And that sort of renewed my interest in my faith, something that I've kind of ignored for a lot of my life. So yeah.
Now, we've got time for some questions from the audience. I would like to ask Maggie Alcock, who is a space scientist. And she's a TV presenter as well in this country. So, Maggie, you have a question, I believe.
I do. Thank you very much.
You're a space scientist?
Yeah.
I am.
So cool.
She's famous. I know who she is.
Amazing.
She's famous. Hello.
Amazing. Thank you for coming with us. Oh my goodness.
I'm sorry. Thank you so much. So, in the UK, as has been mentioned, we have, unfortunately, a deficit of scientists and engineers, and that deficit could be fulfilled by girls sort of taking up this subject. Over the past 10 years, I've seen 250,000 school kids trying to get them excited about science. But do you really believe that films like this can do what I call the desire to aspire, give those girls the desire to aspire, so that they literally reach for the stars, and that we can bring out the scientist in everyone?
Ava, what do you think?
I think so. Yes. I think so.
I was hoping you'd say that.
Yes. One of the things that you'll see in this film that I think is so incredible is also some of the basis of Madeleine L'Engle's book, the great woman who wrote this novel that the story is based on in 1963. Meg, you're going to see, she doesn't solve problems and save the world through any superpower. She's not a Jedi. She's not in the future. She doesn't have magic inside of her. She is using her brains and her heart to get everywhere that she goes. At different points, 3 different points, see if you can find them in the film. 3 different points she uses math and science to move the whole crew of people forward. Actual math. At one point, she walks on math, which is a cool sequence in the film. At another point, when she's flying, someone asks her, "How are we flying?" She gives a math. She tells a science equation as to why. And so all of these points that I think are so incredible. You have a girl at the center of this movie, but we have her at the center of this movie not necessarily using physical strength, not necessarily using the strength of magic or of powers that are outside of her. She's using the light and the intellect that she has inside of her, and it's part of the story that we think is very beautiful. So I hope that it gets more girls interested in math and science and engineering. It would be incredible to know. Yeah.
Well, you can't be what you can't see, is what they say, isn't it? And I think the curiosity in popular culture, if it's out there, then it's visible to young girls and made more acceptable. Actually, the female lead has done a lot of work around STEM and making it more attractive to young girls. I think we have a question actually from one of the students from Mulberry School. Tamanna, have you got a question?
Hello. Oh, that was close. My name is Tamanna Islam. I am 16 years old from Mulberry School for Girls. My head teacher, Dr. Ogden, is part of the female lead, and on behalf of my fellow Mulberry peers, my question for you is, with the added pressures of being a woman of colour brings, how do you get people to listen to what you have / make your voice heard?
I think maybe Mindy, that would be interesting.
I think it's challenging. I think it's really challenging. I think it takes a great deal of confidence, because I don't think people necessarily sit up and want to hear what you have to say if you are a young woman of color. And I think that for me, I felt in my life I would get a lot of discouragement. And what I would always do when I was young was sort of listen to it and then quietly just sort of nod and then just sort of do my work quietly and plot about what I would do. But I think that, I mean, Ava, maybe you can help answer this question. It's such a good question.
I think, it's important that girls of color, understand that they have to cultivate something inside of themselves and be able to listen to themselves before you expect anyone to listen to you. And that's the same for anyone. But I also think that it's important that people who are not of color and not girls are allies for girls and people of color. There are a lot of men in the room. This movie's for you, too. There's some guys in it, don't worry. But in this film, our colleagues, Chris Pine and Zach Galifianakis, Levi Miller, Derek McCabe, Michael Pena, Andre Holland, all came together to tell this story with us. I think it's an example of men and boys also having a responsibility to what's going on in the worlds of women and girls, because they're so interlocked. We're all human beings, and we really need to have a give and take. So men and boys are a part of this story, and they're a big part of the story, because so much of the burden that we carry as women and as girls can be lightened and alleviated if we had great male allies. Any good male allies out there? Anybody? Anybody? You're not raising your hand. Be proud. Be proud. I saw one guy with his daughter there. He did like that. I see you in that white shirt. Yes, sir. Good for you with your kid. Yeah.
I'd now like to turn to Laima Gabawi. Where are you sat, Laima? Ah, there you are, Laima, because I believe you have a question that you'd like to ask as well. Laima is our Nobel Peace Prize winner. It's a real honour to have her here.
Thank you, Oprah. It's an honor to be here tonight, and I'm happy to see us taking a lead. From my own life and my work, I tend to know without a doubt the strength and the incredible power that women bring to any scope, any space, and any theme. But we still have a problem in the world today. The power of women is a little bit underestimated. The status quo has not changed. How do we get there? Because I got a letter from my 20-year-old, January 22nd. Why do we protest? Why do we burn bras? Why do we strip naked when patriarchy, the foundations of patriarchy is still solid? How can we change that?
I think Oprah's probably be quite good at answering that. I think Oprah will change that.
You want me to answer the woman who won the Nobel Peace Prize and then wrote "Mighty Be Our Powers"? I think you could answer it, but this is I also feel exactly as you do. I've always felt the strength of my spirit, my essence, because I knew that I didn't get here by myself. I was carried by a lot of other women and also a lot of other men who came before me. And I think knowing that strength and that power for yourself is the most important thing. And I will have to say, I have been underestimated my entire life, and it's the greatest thrill. I got to be a wealthy woman. I was just saying this to somebody today. The reason why I got the deal and the contract that I did, because nobody expected me to hit the rates and the limit. So they said, oh, sure, we'll give you half. We'll give you half of the show. We'll give you half of the money, because they never expected me to reach the limit. So in every situation I've ever been in, I've been underestimated, and it's a thrill. It is a thrill, because I know inside myself, when I first made the decision to go from being just a talent on the show versus someone who owned the show, they said, you have to take the risk that if you win big. If you lose, you lose everything. But I believed enough in myself. I believed in that power, because I knew that what Maya Angelou says in her poem to our grandmothers, I come as one, but I stand as 10,000. I know that there's an army behind me, and that my being here, the message that you'll see me give to Meg in the movie when Mrs. Witch says, do you know how many millions of events had to occur in order for you to be exactly the way you are? So you and I, we've been coming for a long time, and there's a lot of strength and power behind that. And the difference between my success and a lot of other people I see is I recognize I didn't get here by myself, and so I stand in that power. Mighty be our powers.
That's an answer. There you are. Good answer. Edwina, I think also just to pick up a little bit on working with men, you've worked in very male-dominated areas. You're a data pioneer, you're an entrepreneur. If you could just give us a little bit of advice around working in a male-dominated environment and the kind of what I see when I see you, a sort of quiet power that you have.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if I might interest Ava in the data science world, because it's also very exciting, because we're storytellers, That's the work that I was consumed by and have really enjoyed. But as I did it, as I worked with retailers and consumer products companies, the Nestle's, the Crafts, the Coca-Colas around the world, every boardroom I walked into, it was male. And it was quite a strange experience. You know, I absolutely love what Oprah said. You know, if you stay true to who you are, if you play, you know, your beliefs out, give your very, very best advice, you slightly surprise men when you're in the boardroom, when you're talking to them. And they kind of just go for it and kind of embrace you. And it's a very, very... You know, you can make a virtue out of being different. And I think we have the wonderful Michaela de Prince here, I know.
Yes, I know Michaela was going to ask a question.
And I know, because she said something that has stayed in my memory a long time, which is about how being different can be a virtue, and you can turn it into a virtue. I think you talked about poppies in a field, and I've always remembered that beautiful comment.
Yeah, well, for me, I'm from Sierra Leone, West Africa, and being born with vitiligo, I was already discriminated and ridiculed because of the way I looked. So I thought, okay, great, I'm getting adopted. I'm gonna have an amazing life. Everybody's gonna love me for the way I look. And then all of a sudden, it was the fact that I was brown and that I wasn't good enough. And I grew up in a class with only white girls, and even now, it was a struggle for me to tell people, you know, I'm not gonna wear pink tights because I am brown. I am not white. I don't look right wearing white tights. And so for now, you know, I just try to inspire people and to say, don't be afraid to be a poppy in a field of daffodils, and to accept who you are and to accept your flaws, and yeah, to just shine bright. Yeah.
Thank you. Michaela, do you want to ask a question?
Daffodils. Yeah. When you think of a poppy in a field of daffodils, whoa, I love it. Yeah, very beautiful.
No, unfortunately, no, I didn't have a question.
Oh, well, I'm glad we got to speak to you anyway.
Okay, sorry.
I think we've got time for one more question. Afua, do you want to?
Thank you. It's such a joy to be here, not just because of such an incredible panel, but the audience as well. There's such great energy here. So thank you so much. And Oprah, one of the things I love about what you say is that it's so strategic. You know, as well as being so talented and powerful and strong, you also have this strategic way of looking at things, like turning being underestimated into an advantage. So the question I want to ask you all is, I think we live in quite toxic times in some ways, and something I struggle with personally. I'm a journalist and a writer, and I often find myself in these really hostile debates where I'm having to kind of justify my existence and my perspective as a person of colour and my very identity. And I see women like you creating your own narratives and building your own projects. And when young women come to me and ask for advice, I'm often genuinely torn between saying you need to be the voice in that hostile place, the person inside that changes it, or whether to say don't even engage, just do your own thing, build your own future. And I think it's the dilemma that for many people, do you try and achieve change from the inside, or do you now use the new opportunities that are available to us in this age of technology and create your own thing? So I wanted to ask you what your advice is, what you think women should do.
I think Oprah, maybe to start.
I believe in working from the inside out. I believe that everything that this movie says and stands for, and all of the reason why Ava is such a brilliant visionary director, she cast me as Mrs. Witch. And everything that Mrs. Witch says is what I already believe. As I'm reading the script, I say, oh, this is what I've said. I've said this before. I know. Mrs. Witch and I, we share the same religion. We share the same philosophy. I believe it's working from the inside out. I think your only job on earth is to work on you, is to find your frequency, and to allow what you have to offer. See, love, as you will see in this film, love is the victory. You do not meet the darkness. You do not meet all the craziness. And even today, as I hear myself say, oh, it's such, times are difficult and it's such a critical time. What if we all changed the paradigm and said, look at the rising. Look at what's rising up out of this craziness. Look at the people who are running for office, who are standing up, who are becoming writers, who are becoming victors in their own life, who are looking for the light. What if we just shifted it from, oh, it's so bad, it's so terrible, it's so awful, it's so that, to look at what is coming out of this. And if you work on that light inside yourself, which is the only job you have on earth, is to figure out what that is and what you have to offer, and then offer that in love, in grace, in kindness, then you bring more light into the world. You cannot fight the darkness with the darkness. You cannot meet it with your own aggravation, your own agitation. Every time you get upset and angry and frustrated when you turn on your phones and you look at the news, you are contributing to the hysteria. You've got to be so strong, so spiritually, your spiritual muscle has got to be so tight. You got to be so ripped spiritually. You got to be spiritually ripped. That when all the crap hits the fan, you have the muscle. You have the muscle to meet it, and you can't meet it head on. You have to transcend it. You have to go above it. You have to be the light. You turn out all the light in this room, and you hold up your little piece of light can be enough to break the darkness in this room. So don't let it. Everybody's going at it the wrong way, as I see it. We're all talking about how bad it is instead of, wow, look at the awakening that's happening because of all of this craziness. Because of all the darkness I see, I'm willing to shine even brighter. That's what I would say.
Well, thank you very much. Oprah's very wise. It's fantastic. Thank you for that.
Mrs. Witch coming into
That's all the time we have for questions. I hope everyone that's watching this live on Facebook has enjoyed it. We're at the Wrinkle in Time European premiere at the BFA IMAX.
We just love saying it. Can you say again? We have the Wrinkle in Time European premiere.
It's fancy.
It's very fancy.
Thank you. So thank you very much. So we're saying goodbye to everyone online now. And the movie opens soon.
Online, thank you.